Is it?
Thank you very much. We brought you all the way from South Africa. Erelu Bisifayemi, I will continue to acknowledge you. You're making this possible. Thank you very much. You are indeed empowering women. Thank you for making this possible. Please, can we acknowledge her? Through the Amandla Institute, we've been able to bring some women from the 6 geopolitical zones and from South Africa. I am indeed very grateful. Thank you very much for making this possible. Okay. So I need to do this. Okay. I'm very honored and privileged to be talking to Dr. Phumzile Mlambo. Okay. Thank you so much. I'm representing a lot of Nigerian and African women who look up to the feats, to the achievements you have made over the years. You're the first female deputy president of South Africa. I'm not aware that we have any other person that had taken that position. And it would be good to know how you have managed, what you have done, how you have married, family, business, and the men. So I have a few questions here for you. These questions are not mine. They are questions of Nigerian women. And they want you to be as open and to be as down to earth as you can, because we're here to learn. We want to know how you did it. We want to know what we are not doing right, because like Honorable Kafilat Ogbara said, the future in Nigeria is going to be one that we're going to have a lot of women represented. And that's why we have the likes of Chief Osasu doing the work of our ancestors, like Irilu and Saudatu. They are our ancestors. And we have young ancestors here in the likes of Iberi and Saudatu. Am I right? Yes, thank you. So the first question I've been asked to ask you is that you've had a remarkable journey from grassroots activism in South Africa to becoming the deputy president and later leading UN Women. Looking back, what pivotal moments shaped your leadership path?
Good morning, and thank you so much for the invitation. Thank you so much to my sisters for making it possible for me to be here today. Just when I look back, I'm that generation of South Africans who grew up at the time of apartheid. So that had a strong influence in me. But I also grew up in a household that was very community-oriented. So I had a lot of opportunity to engage in the community. Because for all of us in this room and beyond who want to be leaders in the community, we have to show up. We have to know where the shoe pinches the community. We may not always have solutions, but people must know that we hear them and that we are willing to do something. So without knowing that I was providing a hearing or solutions for that matter in some very modest way, I had an opportunity to be part of the community. Because if you are a leader, you have to be where the people are. There is no other magic about this. That is the most central thing about leadership, is to be where the people are. So what if you talk about pivotal moment, I would say showing up, being there where the people are. And of course, there were critical moments, like in times when you have a big protest, as in those days, a lot was about protesting. You had to be there to actually participate alongside the people and take the pain with them, because people want to see and experience your solidarity with them. So that kind of engagement, I think, taught me a lot. I felt like I was learning more than I was giving at that time. And when I look back now, that was where I learned. Not so much that I gave, but I actually took something that made me better for the next time.
Showing up for the
Showing
people
up.
to know that you're part of them.
Absolutely.
And you were on the street protesting.
Absolutely.
She was on the street protesting, not sitting in an air-conditioned office, showing up to the people for them to
We
know
didn't
that
even
you're-
have offices those days. So there was not even an office to sit in. So, yeah.
Thank you very much. This question says, when you first entered politics, okay, they want to ask about what personal challenges did you face. I don't want to talk about personal challenges because we all face personal challenges. Let's talk about navigating the waters in politics as a woman, working with men, working with women in the community, working with women that are also elite. How did you navigate the waters?
I guess for all of us who want to be leaders, it's important to invest your time in understanding what nonsense you are trying to cure. You really have to know what is the problem here and focus on addressing that problem. So I made it my business to know about the issues that needed my input and my solutions. I think for those of you who are in leadership position, you will know that you end up in a lot of meetings. You just become a busy bee spinning around. And sometimes you end a day or a week and you are like, what have I been doing? If you cannot give an answer to that, there's something that you are missing. It's important for you to shape your own time, your own actions, so that they lead you into something, so that you can also decide what are the things you are not going to do. You can't be everywhere all the time. You have to choose the most important things and the most impactful things. In my community, for instance, we had problems of water. I knew that I had to make that a priority. And I should then give up other things so that I could focus on this issue, so that I could say I have been able to come with a solution for these issues. We had a problem of roads, because for women, when you don't have roads and women cannot move from point A to point B, they're stuck in their houses, they can't trade, they can't take children to school, there's so much they can't do. If you cannot go to the offices and demand that the road is graded and whatever it takes to make them walkable, then you are not making a difference. So be concrete, visualize the things that you want to see, and make sure that every day the steps that you are taking are leading you in that direction, so that it's not just about having gone to a meeting, but going to a meeting so that A, B, C, D can happen.
So what I'm hearing is identifying a gap and filling that gap.
Absolutely.
For the community to see your impact.
Yeah, because I mean, leadership is in some way a science of some sort. You have to have a structure to navigate it, to make sure that it happens. It has to add up. There must be a time when you start, a time when you build up, a time when you take it to the end.
Thank you very much. I'm skipping one because it's similar to what I just read. This one is from a young woman in Zamfara. She said, women leaders are often held to higher standards and judged more harshly. How did you handle scrutiny, and what advice would you give Nigerian women stepping into leadership roles today? And we see this happen every day. You know, men make errors, they get away with it. men are not doing what they should be doing, they get away with it. The moment a woman makes a little error, a little mistakes, the media jumps, everybody condemns her. How would we handle this?
Yeah, I think that it's important that we don't overthink the perfection of women, because we will not be perfect, but we have to do our best. And we also must not accept mediocrity of men. The world is in a mess now because the world has been led by men for a long time. I don't think they have something wonderful to show for it. But if men and women were able to work together, there is so much more that we can achieve. So we don't have to be ashamed that we are less than, because there just has not been enough opportunity for us to show what we can do. We see women now who are achieving, and that begins to tell us what women can do. Can you imagine if at every position where decisions are being made that affect women, and women were also there to make these decisions, and women could tell about their own lived experience, where we would be? In the world today, the one thing across the world, and I've seen in almost every country, the one common thing that we have not achieved in gender equality is equal representation. There are countries who do much better, but we hardly have countries that you can call a country that you can say is perfect. Some countries are much worse. We have to work much harder. Some are much better, but in general, representation is still a big issue. And it is said that if we are continuing at this pace, it's going to take more than 100 years for us to reach a stage when you can talk about gender equality. So this is serious. This is something we have to deal with. And for younger women in particular, who still have many more years than some of us, I'm sometimes jealous of them. I feel like youth is wasted on the young. I want some of it myself. But for them, it is important to make sure that they do not allow themselves to go through what we have gone through. It's got to be shorter for them than it was for us. So everything that we do now has to be about making sure that the younger women will not work as hard as we did. In fact, I just cannot believe that I'm still doing this, by the way. That in 2025, I am sitting here to these wonderful women of Nigeria, and we're still complaining about representation. It's just not on. It's just not on. When there's so much that you have already done that demonstrates the capacity that you have. So there's got to be a way, and I'm so glad you have been discussing earlier about the changes that you're anticipating in Nigeria. These changes have got to be pushed.
So at this point in time, what I want to, in response to what you have said, we have grandmothers, we have ancient, what do I call them again? Ancestors. We have our female ancestors, and you're one of them. Irelu is one of them. Saudatu is one of them. Ene Ede is one of them. We have our ancestors, and we need to tap from you, and that's why we have you here. We have the Yesterday Olasembos as well, you know, who are championing. We have the Marias who are championing. We have the Aisha who are championing, and you know they're stepping in the right shoes and in the right toes. So there has to be that intergenerational, balance. We can't allow you to go. We will continue to call you as long as you are alive. We will continue to call you as long as she's alive. We will continue to have her here. And I know there are a lot of younger women who are also looking up to what you're doing for them to achieve it. We spoke about men, and this one is coming in from this one is coming in from Ogun State. The power of allies. Men remain gatekeepers of political and economic power in many societies. In Nigeria, I know, and in South Africa, we spoke about it. What role did allies, especially male ones, play in your journey? And how can Nigerian women in politics build such coalitions effectively? Because whether we like it or not, men have supported us. So what role did they play in your journey? How can we ensure that we tap into effectively making use of the men?
Yeah. First, let me just say something about intergenerational collaboration. The world now has young people as the largest cohort of human beings on earth. So in whatever we do and however we do it, it's always going to be important to have young people. I think it is suicidal for older women not to consider and take young women seriously. And young women are not just beneficiaries. They are not complainants. They are doers. They are solution makers. They create content. They are leaders of today, not leaders of tomorrow. So we have to rely that. When we mentor young women, we get mentored by them. There is so much I don't know that I know now because I associate with young women. So we must not always think that we are the ones who are bringing solutions and answers. Young women bring the solutions about the world they want, and we must assist them to shape it so that it works for them. But hey, they have an advantage of having lived for a little bit longer. So we can assist them to see some of the things that we have seen and make sure that they take them into consideration as they make their decision. This is a mistake that I've seen women make, treating young women and girls, because even girls these days have got ideas. I know that in AWLN, the last time we were already talking about what are we going to do with girls of 10 years old, because they have challenges, but also they have ideas. This is, I cannot overemphasize this enough. But what was the question?
The question. Thank God for this, because I was forgetting as well.
Yeah.
The question is the power of men.
Of allyship.
Allyship of men.
So, you know, we have fought men for such a long time that sometimes we can make a mistake of treating men like enemies, which I think would be a big mistake. When I was at UN Women, and I really thought that UN Women, even though it is an entity of the United Nations that was established to address gender equality, expected to work with women, I realized that if it does not work with men, it is not going to succeed. I realized that the people we want to collaborate with, we want as partners in making changes, are the men. And many of the men have not been engaged about their prejudice against women. So there has to be a way in which we reach out to them so that they can also know how we think, and how we would like them to engage. And for me, which is how I started He for She, it was important for me to also see men who wanted to make a change, who needed a platform and to participate in something that is meaningful. And it's been wonderful to see just how many men have come forward and participated in He for She and the difference they've made. It was important for me that we focus on men who have got power and authority. Because men who have got power and authority can say things and make them happen. The power of one. One person can make things change for so many people. It was important to talk to men with money. That thing called money is important. To make sure that they can make sure that that money is actually used to address issues that concerns women, because the women's agenda is so underfunded. In fact, it is broke. We needed to make sure that women can mobilize resources to address the needs of women. But we also needed to address boy children in order to make sure that from a very young age, they overcome their prejudice, so that for them, as they get older, they've already taken the change. But it's been interesting to see, and I don't know if you see it in Nigeria, but I'm seeing it more and more in South Africa, how younger men, in some ways, are much better than the older men in their attitude towards gender equality. How you see men and children, the way they deal with their children, the way they participate as parents, but it's still a drop in the ocean. There's still many more who have not been able to come forward. So there's still work to be done, and men are important. And in shaping my own career, I was mentored by men. I'm sure many of you must have had that experience. I was sponsored by men, but I was also sponsored by women. But it was important to be sponsored by men because they were already with the in crowd. It was easier for them to make things happen for me. It is much easier for them to put in a good word for you. Where they sit in their men's club and they're looking for people to make opportunities for, your name can come up. So it's important then to manage and maintain those relationships, but not just for yourself, to make sure that they happen for other women as well.
Thank you very much. I'm going to seize this opportunity because I know we're live. There are a few men who genuinely help women. There's no doubt about that. I'm going to talk about, setting up a radio station is not easy.
Yeah.
So there are men in my life who made it possible. The chairman of this organization made it possible. Tunde Okiwale, my husband made it possible, for me to do this. My son made it possible. But I want to speak to a few men here, and that is our president. This is the only opportunity I have,
Seize it.
I am seizing it, ma. This is the only opportunity I have to the president of this country. You owe us a duty, Mr. President, to ensure that that special seat reserved for women is passed. How the president is going to do it, I'm aware that he's talking to the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas. I'm aware that the sponsor of the bill is a man, Deputy Speaker Kalu. Nkiruka just left. She was also part of this bill a few years ago. It is important that Mr. President does a lot of back-end work, right? Because it's the members of the National Assembly that are going to approve, that are going to get the bill to be passed. Mr. President owes Nigeria that duty because we have less female ministers. We have less women that are appointed, right? He owes Nigerians that duty. So, sir, work behind the scenes there's a reason why you are called Jagaban. Work behind the scenes to ensure that that bill is passed. Negotiate with the legislators, negotiate with the National Assembly, negotiate with your governors. They listen to you. So, sir, make it happen. And when it happens, Nigeria will not forget you. Your name will be in the history book, including the National Assembly. Am I speaking our language? See? I also want to seize this opportunity to thank the likes of Kole Shetima. He's made it possible. A man, he's a he for she, he's made it possible for a lot of women groups. Action Aid, I need to acknowledge them as well, because Action Aid supports over 100 women-led organizations for us to have our voices. So I'm sure I may not have mentioned a few names, but there are men that are in powerful positions, and you owe us that duty to ensure that women have a seat at the table. You spoke about women as well. As I said, our ancestors are here. They make things possible. But Enede made a comment. It's not about our money, women. It's not just about your money. It's a fact that you can give yourself. It's a fact that the likes of Margaret can say, Tone, take my car and my driver, and I'm putting fuel in the car for you to use for the time you're here. We have to be deliberate and be the Erelus of our time, be the Madis of our time, be the Nkirukas of our time, and let us support ourselves. So apparently you can't do anti-party, I'm being told, because you cannot support another woman in another party. But the women in your party, support them.
But
Thank
also,
you.
I have to say, inter-party women solidarity is critical. Because when you are in the legislature, there are issues that impact women, that impact all women. As women of different parties, you have to come together and support those issues that impact all of you. When a rapist comes to rape you, they don't ask, what party are you from? You have equal opportunity to be raped, irrespective of your age, of your party, of your race, of whatever. So never forget the importance of sisterhood. Because sisterhood is the one thing that will lift you up when you're down and out. I can tell you, there's a special place in hell for women who don't support other women. Solidarity of women is critical, but also above that, the women's solidarity has to be concerned about all other rights, because the rights of women tend to thrive when other rights are thriving. Women's rights are difficult to take forward where you have racism, where you have discrimination of older people, where you have discrimination of children. When you are fighting for rights, always remember that you are fighting for gender rights, but you are concerned about everyone else's rights. Never leave the others down and trample on them just to protect your own right, because that tends to drag us down.
Thank you very much. You're just leading into the next question. We've spoken about men, and this is from Ebonyi. It says, beyond men, what role do women themselves need to play in supporting one another's leadership journeys? You've mentioned it. Now, we carried out a survey, Women Radio, thanks to MacArthur Foundation in all the 36 states of Nigeria, and thank you to Amandla and Wotsi, Manifesto. So we carried a survey in all the 36 states of Nigeria, including FCT here. 8 out of 10 grassroots women, as I mentioned, hold a permanent voter's card. And they vote 69% of men, they vote them. And they only vote, those women that are here, vote 31% of women. The women that they vote for are also determined by the men. So from your experience, how can women leaders earn the trust and translate that support into women's political victories? Because what we want is, if you are in a political party and a woman is being put down as a candidate and men are there as well, what do they need to do to ensure that they vote the woman in? And what do women leaders also need to do to speak the language of the grassroots women?
Yeah, I think as women politicians, we are the first one who must step out and be with the grassroots women and women in general. Never forget that we are the ones who need the votes. So we must be the ones to go out and seek the votes. You must not, as a women politician, get into the position of being distant from a woman. You have to speak the language that the constituency speaks. You also have to know what are the issues that the women are most concerned about, and take on those issues and report back. Keep them informed. Don't come to women only at the time when you are seeking votes. Be there constantly, even when you don't have solutions, because there are many times when you don't have solutions, but be there so that women know that you are listening, you are trying. They must also know that your own time is spent on worrying about their issues. The worst thing that we sometimes do as women in leadership is thinking that we have got our handbags, we have our car, and we move away from the people who have put us there. That cannot happen. That cannot happen. We have got to be with the women all the time, and we have got to support them. But at the same time, we are leaders of people. We also have to care about the needs of men, the rights of men, the rights of children. We also have to support that constituency.
Thank you very much. I'm being asked that I need to just ask one more question, and then we'll take 2 comments from the audience for her. Just to support what you said, I was talking to the CEO of Asha Microfinance Bank, and she said to me that the women are the ones that are actually fueling the oil of that organization. And so, you know, she speaks fantastic English, she shuttles London and Nigeria, she goes into the market to engage with the women to speak their language. I'm just saying that you're supporting, I'm supporting what you have said. Now, this is for me now. I've helped answer all your questions. If you could leave the women in this room that are representing other women with one call to action, one thing that we must start doing now, today, what would that be? For us to change tomorrow, what would that be?
We need to be intentional. Nothing will just happen. The fact that you have been put in a position and you have a set of a criteria and the things that you have to do, that is not enough. Your own intention from the depth of yourself. You have to give yourself to the job and do it as if there's no tomorrow. I have never known a job that I've done well if I have not given it my all. Never be half measured. The challenges that we face in the world today do not require half measures. Africa is being recolonized. Okay? Africa is being recolonized. Our minerals are at risk. Our land is at risk. If we do not stand up and we're intentional about making sure that the rights that we have won are not being lost because someone somewhere in another country does not like women, says disparaging things about women, our reproductive rights are being taken away, we will find ourselves having lost the things we gained in Beijing 30 years ago. Can you imagine that if we were to reconvene Beijing today, we would not get the Beijing Declaration as it is, because those rights are no more available now. So we have to protect the rights that we have. Intentional in everything we do, in gaining new rights, in protecting the rights we have, and in making sure that we mobilize more people to support those rights, men and women. And we have to make sure that men have to be in the leadership in fighting gender-based violence. Because if there were no men, women would not be dying, being killed by men. Women are dying, women are experiencing sexual violence because we have men who cannot respect women's rights. We need to win over the men who see this as a problem to take a stand. Because to be concerned about those rights and do nothing, that's a conspiracy against women, as Mandela would say. If men do not act and protect the rights of women, that works against women. Men also have to show up for women. And we will not be praising men, obviously, all the time for doing this. We will acknowledge it because we will not be praising fishes for swimming, because men are just doing what needs to be done. right? But we have to encourage them, we have to take it down to the children, and we have to make sure that men of all ages stay engaged. Hold them close to you and close to the issues.
I'll take 2 questions. Please, 2 quick questions. 1, 2, 3, no questions. Thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Yes, those 2. Please come forward and take the microphone. Come forward. The lady in green and the lady in red, yes. Thank you. I thought we had Robin. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma. Okay, good afternoon. I am Zainab Mustafa. I am the National Woman Leader of Joint National Association of Persons with Disability in Nigeria. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. My questions is, we the women with disability in Nigeria, for we to be presented, how can we be 100% presented on this thing? Because if not because of my friend, Madam Anwuli, as the National Woman Leader, I will not be here. And if you look at it, we have over 20 million persons with disability, and the women are the most vulnerable and marginalized. We are just few here. And if you look at it also, in the legislative, we have 0 representation of women with disability. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you give the microphone to her? I'll take to her.
Okay, can I answer?
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Representation of women.
Yes. I think let me just start by saying it's very important that the groups that tend to be underrepresented, in the same way that we complain about women, we have to have quotas to secure a place, to make sure that no matter what happens, this group will be represented adequately. We say this about women because there is no country, well, maybe very few, who have seen increase in the representation of women without special measures, without affirmative action, without quotas, without special measures. So for women with disability, men and women with disability, we need those special measures. It is not a responsibility of the women with disability to be the only ones who are fighting for their rights. It is our responsibility, all of us. That is why I was saying that gender equality thrives when other rights are also being addressed. So I'm talking about disability rights, rights of children, rights of older people, etc., etc. So these rights have to be fought for by us, not only by the people who need those rights. And disabled people in particular are a large population in any society. So their absence is actually quite a concern, because it is one of those groups for whom there has to be a space that is saved for them, so that their presence is always guaranteed.
Thank you. Over to you. No. Okay.
Good day, everyone. Honestly, I just have to congratulate myself for being here at this particular time. And to the convener, I want to say that God will continually lift you higher, and your voice will continually make impact in the life of women in the society, especially in Nigeria. And Ma, I welcome you once again for being here. It's really a great opportunity to see you facially. My question is this: in politics, especially in African politics, the power of godfatherism cannot be overemphasized. And now to women, we've been advised how to, encourage one another, lift the hand of the other woman, so that we will actually become what we want to be. And now I want to ask Ma, how will you reconcile this? What will be your advice to women concerning the power of godfatherism. My name is Dr. Leti.
Thank
I
you.
coordinate Grassroots Women Initiative. Thank you.
Yeah, I actually think that it's important that we see that manipulation of women as a societal issue. And it is especially dangerous to younger women who, because the way I understand, in South Africa we call it blesser. The men who say they will bless you. And they do everything that is not a blessing to you. So it is society that allows that to happen. Sometimes even within families, where members of the family would allow a young girl to behave in a particular way in order to attract a blesser. So it is a societal issue, an issue where within society things have gone so wrong that we are not able to respect and protect the rights of those that are in our care in order to make sure that their lives are kept pure. But also, it's important that we tell young people that they have to protect themselves in case there's no one to protect you. It's important to give the young people that strength and the ability to stand up for themselves. Do you realize that the whole world and the future depends on what a young woman does, a girl, a teenager does? Because the population increase that we see in the world of, for instance, unwanted children, the people who have to bring to bear those children against their own will are young girls. If young girls understand that and they know how they could protect themselves in cases where no one is looking out for them, that would be a change maker. If countries are unable to afford the people they have within a country, they can only change that if girls decide we're not going to have children. So you need to educate the girls. You need to give them the power for them to understand their importance in society. You need to give them a quality of life that makes them feel good for themselves and have something to look forward to. And that is why investment in girls and the respect for those girls is important for the future of the world. Because if we neglect the girls, we are neglecting the future of society. These are the people who decide how our world will be. Without attention to the girls, our world is gone.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It says our time is up, but I understand that one of our elders wants to quickly ask a question. If you can make it. Please go ahead, ma'am. Make a comment, ma'am. My sincere apologies, Maokwe.
Please, I'm sorry, but I think I need to speak.
Yes,
or I believe I need to speak. I want to thank our sister who was a deputy president in South Africa. I agree with most of the things you have said. I'm not boasting when I speak, but I think I should use my experience as a civil servant or a public servant to say one or two things. Pardon me, please, and be patient with me. First, I was clerk of Senate when the president was a senator. I worked in the National Assembly. In fact, I was one of those. I started the National Assembly in Abuja. But somewhere along the line, I won't give much details, I was removed from the National Assembly. I was, the highest civil servant in the assembly at the time, and it was possible I was going to be the clerk of the National Assembly. And I was removed. I don't want to give details. But they didn't know, the people who removed me didn't know what plans God had for me, the trajectory God had already built up for me. And so I went back to the mainstream civil service. 2 years, I didn't have any posting. I was just sitting there. And then somewhere along the line, I was sent to one ministry. They rejected me. They didn't have a space for a director. So I came back to the Office of Secretary to the government. And then I was there. They found a space for me in the SGF's office. They posted me to a department, economic department, as Phumzile. I was there one day. My boss, the secretary, my Phumzile, called me. He was calling on the intercom and said, I want to talk to the permanent secretary. And I said, I'm sorry, sir, this is not his extension. I said, I want to talk to the permanent secretary. And he said, look, called me by my first name and said, come, they have just made you a permanent secretary. I jumped up. Then I ran to his office. I was on the ground floor. No, first floor. Then I ran to his office to go and meet him. And he just showed me the list. I had been made a permanent secretary. This was in 1999. I served, by the grace of God, in 7 ministries as federal permanent secretary. And of course, there were men working with me. And I can say the men respected me. They accepted my leadership. But where I had the greatest challenge was in the Ministry of Agriculture. I was the first female to serve as permanent secretary, Ministry of Agriculture. I had 13 departments, all headed by men. I was the permanent secretary, and they followed my leadership. First day I went there, my minister asked me, do you know anything about agriculture? I said, I don't know the flimsiest thing about agriculture except the one we did in the school. But I'm ready to learn. And I learned and accepted my leadership. We have offices in all the states of the Federation, and we coordinated that. I served in the Ministry of Petroleum Resources. I was governor of OPEC. The men respected me. Work hard. Be firm and fair as a woman, and the men will respect you. They don't have a choice.
Thank you, ma'am.
I told my granddaughter, he said her nephew, her uncle said, women's brains are wired, some men's brains. I said, no wiring. God wires all our brains the same. And it depends on how you want to use your own. So I wish all of us well as we continue with this fight. And I know that we will win. But let us be careful. There are banana peels on the way. For example, the amount they ask people to pay to contest for election is very high. We need to get that to be changed and to be reduced. So we will all be competing on level playing ground. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's Dr. Ama Pepo, former head of service Nigeria. At this point in time, we need to excuse Dr. Phumzile. She has a meeting that she has to go and attend, but she will be back to join us. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Can we quickly do photographs before she leaves? Thank you.